Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, I don't know about you all, but I'm cursed with a curious mind. So when I'm wandering around a shopping mall, concert hall, or should I say when I used to, because it's been some time since I did all those things that we used to take for granted, I was always looking for the tech behind the scenes, behind the curtain. What brings that experience to life? Whether it be the wireless arrays on the ceiling, or spotting a floating Aloha till software symbol at 10 paces. Believe me, it is both a blessing and a curse. But in the last 12 months, everything has changed. We're now rethinking everything from how we work, sustainability, and so much more. So when I read that HEPA filters are outdated 70-year-old technology that move the air around rather than provide clean air, it got me thinking about the air that we're breathing in public spaces, whether it be in subways, elevators, offices, malls, and those concert halls that I was telling you about. And that discovery led me to next-gen purifier CEO Christoph Burkhardt, who is creating more sustainable purifier products with a company called OneLife. And the company is backed by German engineers to produce the world's most efficient air purifiers. But this is a tech podcast, and the reason my tech spidey sensors went off is because they're also launching revolutionary plasma filter technologies that aim to protect us unlike any other purifier technology on the market. So today we're going to be discussing plasma filter technologies that will protect us unlike any other purifier, and so much more. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to San Francisco, where Christoph is waiting to speak with us right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Christoph. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Chris. I'm the CEO of OneLife. And we're a company that developed a very, very efficient air purifier. And we're based in Germany, but I'm talking to you from San Francisco today, where my home is now for, it's been almost a decade. We're obviously very interested in new technologies, which is why I am here in San Francisco to have access to what's happening next.
Well, it sounds like there's a bit of a story here if you're now in San Francisco and from Germany. But I've got to ask, if we go back in time a little while, where did your passion for technology and later air purification technology come from? And can you remember what put you on this path and made you end up in San Francisco talking to me today?
Yeah, that's a good one. Obviously. So I was always interested in new technologies and what we could do with them. So I'm the only non-engineer on my team. That's maybe interesting, but I started in psychology, cognitive psychology. So I wanted to understand how we use technologies to in use cases to do things to make things better. So tech for good. I was looking at companies at the time to figure out how they do this. And I looked at Google specifically, and Google ultimately made me move here to San Francisco. And I wrote several books and did a lot of research. And now for the past 2-3 years, I've changed sides, basically, not only researching this stuff, but putting it into action. So no, we have to do better. And I think there's still a lot missing in technology where we're using new technologies and we figure out to make things more convenient, more efficient, but really to put technologies to use to make people healthier, that's what I'm really passionate about. And I've always tracked everything around my health. I have health records of my watch, and I'm traveling with my smart scale wherever I go. I love what you can do with data and sensors and tracking and everything that makes me healthier. Trying to bring that to other people too. I think that's a great opportunity right now.
Love that story. And I must admit, as an ex-IT guy, I'm the kind of person that loves taking a peek behind the curtain. If I go to a concert venue or a stadium or something, I'm looking for see if I can spot those wireless arrays or the tech that's bringing everything to life. But I also just love exploring areas that you don't automatically associate with technology, but really it's the beating heart behind it. So just to set the scene, can you tell me more about why the current filters are outdated 70-year-old tech that move the air rather than clean the air? Because it's something that I think a lot of people won't automatically think of.
Right. I mean, this is, it's stunning and terrifying at the same time that we didn't really care about air that much until now. The pandemic obviously brought it to light. But we breathe a lot of polluted air, and we use filters, the HEPA filters. That's the industry standard. That's what you have on airplanes. They actually advertise with that. But the technology itself is 70 years old. So to me, this is like driving a car that's 70 years old. Yes, it will still drive probably, and it will get you from A to B. But it's not the way we build cars today because the demands have shifted completely. We want more efficient cars. We want more safety features. Technology that's that old, but it's not the best thing you can do. And so our team, we were really looking into this and said, like, must be a better way to do this. And so we found one.
And I'm curious though, how have you seen technology change in the last few years?
Oh, I think we have shifted a lot away. Use technology simply to make things convenient and bring down costs. People live healthy lives, especially when you look at data technologies. Sensor prices have dropped so much that you have sensors in everything now. And this really makes our environment, especially at home, indoors, makes this more livable and yet safer. I think this is a major shift. So shifting more towards health technologies is something we will see, especially in AI, which is something I love looking at. Is how we use data and AI algorithms to recommend, to coach, to change behavior. And this is part of what the OneLife X does. So our air purifier is not just cleaning the air. We use a lot of sensors that measure things that have nothing to do with the actual air purification, but we want to tell our users everything that they need to know about the environment they're in. Because I have experienced that myself, and I know it changes your behavior when you know. And so this was crucial to us, and I'm really excited that these shifts will drive more startups to get into health, to get into data, and using more sensors, and also collaborating with the major data providers in health. So our partners are delivering air quality data from outside that is so granular, it's so detailed that you know when you need to open a window and when better not to. So our app will show you that too. And I think we need to see way more of that. And then we build these ecosystems for health at home. And it's crazy, but we spend so much time indoors. I recently heard that, but we literally spent more time indoors than whales spend in. It's crazy. It's more than 90% of our time we spend indoors, and we do not know anything about the air indoors. I mean, unless you have asthma or COPD, then you really care. But us, normal, regular people who don't suffer from air diseases, we start caring now because the pandemic brings this to light. And I think this is a good move. This is a good moment to really rethink air. And so it's also time to rethink what kind of technologies we use for that.
Yeah, so much has changed in the last 12 months. We're rethinking how we work and exploring a more hybrid approach to the workplace. We're starting to question the air that we breathe and the technology behind it. And there's also a big focus in tech, especially around sustainability at the moment. So can you tell me more about creating more sustainable purifier products and your mission to offer the world's not only cleanest, but most efficient air purifiers with technology too?
Yeah, it's fascinating what's possible when you really start digging. Yeah. So sustainability is one of the major drivers of why we developed our purifier the way it looks now. So one, just from looking from the outside, you see it's made of bamboo, and we use recycled plastics. And so we try to use materials that are more sustainable. But really, when you look at the technology, this is where it comes, where it really shines, is obviously the filter replacement that you need with a HEPA filter. That produces so much waste, because you have to, not only do you have follow-up costs, so it's a perfect business model for the companies to be in that business, because you always have follow-up cost. But it's not only the cost, it's that we produce so much trash. And these filters, they end up in landfill, and they can't be used for anything else after. And so our environmental impact is terrible when it comes to filters. And the other thing is that HEPA also uses a lot of electricity. You have to push a lot of air through this tight net filter. And the better the filter is, the more power you need to press the air through. So this is not very efficient. And it's a problem that you will, put a HEPA filter next to your bed and try to sleep and have your air being cleaned all night long. This is loud, noisy. And it makes sense because you're literally pushing air through a tight filter. And so we thought that rather than doing that, we have to completely rethink how this is done. And so, we're using a technology that is way more sustainable. In terms of the electricity, we will have this solar powered in a few generations of the product, I'm sure, because we hardly need any electricity to power the system. And it's beautiful that you can use new materials, you can use new technologies, but I think we really have a responsibility as tech companies to look at sustainability, not only as a side thing that you need to mention or a marketing gig, but it's really, this should be core of our mission to be sustainable.
It's incredibly cool. And as this is a tech podcast, I've got to ask, can we take a look under the hood, and can you tell me a little bit more about how the new tech that makes it all possible?
Absolutely. So we decided, rather than filtering particles, there is a process called ionization, where you electrically charge the particles. So all the pollutants you have in the air, we're going down to a level where you can't see them. Really, the invisible parts are the worst. So the smaller the pollutants, the more harmful they are. That means we have to catch really small particles. And to do that, you can't really filter them. You have to catch them. And to do that, we charge them electrically. And then, so we move their electrons. And then the molecules that come out of that are charged. And they move across metallic plates. And so after being charged in that plasma field, they end up on these metallic plates that are charged in the opposite direction. And after a while, all these plates are full, and you just take out that filter, that unit. That's not really a filter. You take out the metallic plates, and you can put them in the dishwasher, or you just rinse it underwater, and it's ready to go again. And the tech allows for viruses, and that level, that size. So these are among the smallest. Bacteria and viruses are the smallest and hardest to filter. But it allows these particles to be caught because the electric charging goes down to that level, while a filter hardly can. And so we're going much smaller, we're going much more efficient, and we're using this plasma technology that is, it's very, very sustainable, because you don't need to push a lot of air, because these particles are flying around anyway. You just need to move them slowly through the machine, which also, makes it absolutely quiet. I have mine right next to my bed, and it runs all night, and I love it, because if you think about it, we sleep a lot, and we don't think about how much air we're breathing overnight. It's crazy.
It really is. And for everyone listening, of course, they will also encounter air purification technology in public spaces too, without even thinking about it, whether they're in the subway, the elevator, inside their office, in the workplace. But I'm curious, how has COVID impacted the industry? I would imagine it's seen a lot more interest and awareness, but what have you noticed?
Absolutely. This has been great. It's the awareness is through the roof. People learning that this is an airborne virus really changed how people look at their indoor space and how their home office, people working out at home now. So, you're breathing heavily. And now me thinking about the times before, you went to a spin class, you were in a small room with 20 others on a bicycle, breathing heavily because it's exhausting. Some of these rooms don't even have windows, but there was hardly any ventilation. There was no process of cleaning it. And some commercial buildings obviously have very good ventilation systems. But air purification, so getting pollutants out of the air, that's something we really only see in commercial settings so far. And I think people working at home, working out at home, we will see more time being spent in your home environment. And think about classrooms, same thing. You have a lot of people in there. And we know already to reopen schools safely, we will have to have air purification in schools. And so this is something that it's a necessity now. While before it was a luxury product to have clean air, now it's like clean water and clean food. This is not something you don't want to drink dirty water all day long. But we're breathing dirty air. And so this is the biggest change that COVID has brought to the market. And obviously, we are happy that people are very aware. But I think that, the biggest part of our job in the next 5 years will be to educate more about what's really happening with our air and where that pollution is coming from and what we can do about it.
And you've said a few moments ago, you're launching revolutionary plasma filter technologies that will protect us unlike any other purifier on the market. You're also hopeful of solar-powered technology becoming a big enabler too. But I'm curious, are there any other emerging technologies that particularly excite you?
Oh, yeah. So I think there's a big shift from like centralized control of devices. So we have connected. So connected devices, our air purifier is obviously connected to your home system. It's HomeKit ready. And we use every kind of connection to other devices that you can. But I think among these tools, these gadgets we have everywhere, not only are they connected now, but they become more and more decentralized, meaning they have their life on their own. They communicate with other devices, but we see kind of distributed, not only decentralized, but distributed networks of devices and data flows. And this is something I think is so exciting. We had 750 million edge AI chips being put into devices last year already. And so these are little brains that you put into the individual devices, and they think, they come to their own conclusions. They're learning. So your toothbrush will talk to the purifier, and they know exactly what the other one is doing right now. And why that's so crucial that we get there, for me, the biggest part is our energy efficiency will go through the roof when these devices decide to buy their own energy on the energy market. So this is something that becomes possible in a distributed network, where you say, my car is charged, but my toothbrush is not. Let's have the car charge the toothbrush, and let's do it in the middle of the night when no one else is using the energy and it's cheapest. So it's these kinds of exchanges between devices that I think will bring, a lot more efficiency and health, but also will lead to very smart environments in which everything will help us be better in terms of health, in terms of productivity, in terms of sustainability. I think this is super exciting. So Edge AI would be my go-to thing. And I can't wait to put one of those chips in my purifier.
Oh, man, it sounds like I'm going to have to get you back on when that happens. An exciting moment that will be. But I'm curious, you probably can't share too much at the moment, but what's next for you? And what, if I ask you to gaze into your virtual crystal ball, where do you see air purification technology heading?
Well, definitely we need different devices for different contexts. So we're working on one for schools or hotels. We want big events to come back, and the only way to do that is to have bigger purifiers that are still silent. A conference room, but that's maybe the next 2 or 3 years. Beyond that, I think air is just the beginning, and really what I want my whole team to do, and where this is really part of our mission, is to make people healthier in their indoor spaces, wherever that is. So we might look at cars, we might look at home office contexts, and not just look at air, but look at everything you do in there and using all our partners to build a better ecosystem. So this is really the ultimate game would be to have an ecosystem of connected devices that help each other about how healthy you are and how we can use this knowledge to make you live healthier lives. So I don't know where exactly that's going to lead us to go, but we will definitely do a lot more with data. We will definitely have to include a lot more partners that we want to work with. And we will see more sensor technology. And I hope we will get access to our users' homes in a very different way and really help them to be healthier. And then why not share all of this information with doctors and say, like, health research in general can benefit from everything we know about our users at home. And since this is purely about your health, there is usually no resistance to share this kind of data with devices that you trust, with companies you trust. But if it stays in the OneLife ecosystem, mainly to just share that data with us, because we can really be healthier. And that starts with asthma and allergies, or if you have dogs and cats at home, definitely with the fine dust they carry. But it might end with filtered water and filtered everything, pretty much, because there's so much opportunity to make our homes healthier places. And yeah, that's where I want to go.
Incredibly cool. And I suspect that for a lot of people, we've set a few light bulbs off in their head now, and they're thinking about the air that they breathe and the technology behind that as well in a lot of public places. So for those people that just want to find out a bit more information about those revolutionary plasma technologies we talked about today, what's the best way of finding you online, and equally contacting your team if they've got any questions?
Absolutely. You find us at onelife.eco. That's onelife.eco. And you can also just reach out to me. So Chris at onelife.eco. If you have any questions, you can find us on social media. But ask me directly. I'm happy to have discussions around air. And really, I see education and information. So yeah, definitely happy to answer all the questions that might arise.
There's so much cool things we talked about today, from those plasma filter technologies to, I think your passion for talking about outdated air purification technology really comes across. And it's something that affects us all in all those public spaces and subways, elevators, etc. So a big thank you for taking the time to come on here, educate me and everyone listening, and the exciting road ahead for this technology too. So thanks again, Christoph.
Thank you so much.
Outdated air purification technology being used in public spaces such as subways and offices, etc. Increasing concern about the air in which we're all currently breathing. But revolutionary plasma filter technology is coming to the rescue. Man, today's episode had it all, didn't it? And it certainly got me thinking a little bit differently. So the next time I'm walking around one of those shopping malls or concert halls, I'm not only going to be looking for the floating aloha symbol and wireless arrays on the ceiling, I'm now going to be looking for the technology that's providing the air that I'm breathing in those locations. But an incredibly cool story, and anything that gets me thinking like that is always a good indication of a fantastic guest. And Christoph's passion really shone through for me today. So I'm curious though, anyone that works in this industry knows more about it than me. And let's face it, that shouldn't be too hard because this is not my area of expertise. I'd love to hear your stories. If you run a business or public space and you're dealing with air purification technologies, and there's anything that you want to discuss or offer different insights or different experiences, I'd love to hear more from you. So please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. My website is techblogwriter.co.uk. Lots going on there to keep you quiet and out of mischief. But please, I don't just say at the end of every episode, I genuinely mean it. Keep those messages coming in. And I also cordially invite you to join me again tomorrow, and we'll do it all again. So a big thank you for listening, though. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.